What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Texas Rangers report. And in today's video is going to be a little bit controversial for some fans, because I know back at the trade deadline we traded Kyle Gibson, Ian Kennedy, and Hans Crouse for Spencer Howard, Kevin Gowdy, and Josh Gesner. Forget Kevin Gowdy, Josh Gesner, and I guess Kyle Gibson and Ian Kennedy, because I think the way that this trade is going to be debated for the foreseeable future, for years to come, is the Hans Crouse and Spencer Howard trade, okay? Kyle Gibson has 1 year left on his deal, and Kennedy's a free agent after the year, and I feel like Kevin Gowdy and Josh Gesner are just throw-in prospects nobody really cares about, okay? Obviously, our player development is going to do our best, our utmost best to develop them, but it's about Spencer Howard and Hans Crouse. I think the debate starts now, okay, for Spencer Howard and Hans Crouse. Back whenever it was around the trade deadline, I saw this was coming through, I was so stoked because I saw Rangers acquire Spencer Howard for Kyle Gibson and Ian Kennedy and 2 other prospects. I think that's how it was, okay? And then I think I waited like 10 minutes for the details to come through, and I see that we give up Hans Crouse, okay? And for a rebuilding team, I thought this was puzzling, because why would we be giving up a top prospect? I think he was like Hans Crouse was 9th in the organization. Okay. Yes, there is definitely reliever risk with Hans Crouse. Yes, he had something wrong with his elbow last year. Yes, he was playing well in AA, but reports said that he just didn't look like his old self. His like electric self, his funky electric self that he was down at Hickory a year or 2 ago. And you go over to the Spencer Howard side of things, okay? This is a guy who, a year ago, he was one of the top prospects in all of baseball, one of the top pitchers in baseball. He was the Phillies' #1 overall prospect, okay? These guys actually came from the same draft. I think Spencer Howard's older, because I think he came from community college. Hans Crouse came from high school. So this was puzzling to a lot of Rangers fans, because we thought we might have been able to get Spencer Howard for like Kyle Gibson and Ian Kennedy. But no, Phillies still, I guess they valued him, Spencer Howard. That's why they wanted some sort of protection or a blanket, if you will, in Hans Crouse. But the trade still, it's one of those where it's a head scratcher for sure. Like, I get the Joey Gallo trade, of course, and a lot of other trades that we've done in the past I get, like the Nate Lowe trade. No other trades really come off the top of my head, but this one is a head scratcher. And now we start the debate, okay? So Spencer Howard was playing in the major leagues this year with the Phillies and with the Rangers, and he does have potential. It's obviously there. The thing is, now that we're a team that's trying to find those guys, he needs to crack into it on a consistent basis, okay? He had games where he struck out a lot of guys, but he was on pitch counts, and there'd be times where he would get rocked in the first inning, and then he would let like 5 runs in 3 innings, and then we would have a bullpen guy come in, okay? But then there were times he would pitch 3 innings, and he would look like he could be a number 3 guy in the rotation, a number 2 guy in the rotation, and he was getting strikeouts, okay? And you look over to Hans Crouse side of things, and he was pitching well down at AA for the Phillies, okay? And then I think a lot of Rangers fans were getting salty because he was pitching really well. And he got called up to AAA. His first game in AAA, he got rocked. And that probably was due to some of his command. He has a funky delivery. And usually if you're not able to repeat your mechanics and your delivery and whatnot, usually that leads to a lack of command. And then interestingly enough, the Phillies were in the playoff race, so they called up Hans Crouse because they needed an opener, and he delivered for them in 3 runs. He only let up 1 inning in his major league debut. Since I don't follow the Phillies, I didn't really know he got called up to the majors, but it's interesting because he definitely wasn't going to make the majors this year with the Texas Rangers. But since they really needed him for the playoff push, he was able to do it. He did walk like 4 or 5, so that's worrisome because you don't want to see that from a starter only in 3 innings. Are the Phillies pushing him a little too much? Maybe. I don't think he would have been at the major leagues, like I said, with the Rangers this year. They might be pushing him a little too quick. Obviously, he got rocked in his AAA start, so I don't think he's ready for the majors just yet. But, I mean, Spencer Howard has been getting rocked. But Spencer Howard was pitching great in AAA for the Phillies organization, and he was pitching great for Round Rock whenever he was on his rehab assignment. So I think the majors is where Spencer Howard needs to be, but he just needs to crack in and find consistency. And honestly, we talked about Colby Allard another day, but that's a guy who has potential. I like Colby Allard, but he needs to find consistency as well. Because eventually, if these guys don't find consistency, these guys are going to be replaced with the Cole Winn type of guys or the Jack Leiter type of guys. And we do have some guys already in the bullpen, like a Taylor Hearn, a Dane Dunning. So this trade, if Spencer Howard does pan out, I'll be happy because I want all the Texas Rangers players to play well. I don't wish bad luck on any of them. If Hans Crouse plays well and Spencer Howard plays well, I can't be too frustrated. But if, sorry, I need to type in my password real quick. But if Hans Crouse becomes a really good player and Spencer Howard's a bust, I'm going to be really frustrated. Obviously, you can't win all of your trades. And I think the biggest problem going into this trade is nobody really knew what to expect from Kyle Gibson because he's a guy who's been an average pitcher his entire career, and then he comes out and starts pitching like an ace for the Rangers, and he gets 2 bad starts or 3 bad starts right before the trade deadline. And that's not going to help his case to be traded, especially since he doesn't have a track record of success in his FIP, fielder independent pitching. That is, at the time, that was a lot higher than his actual ERA. So his trade market was a little weary or eerie, whatever word you want to use. And Spencer Howard's trade value was down from being the number 1 overall prospect for the Phillies. Because he wasn't playing well in the majors. So this trade is still weird, okay? And right now, I'm a Cowboys fan. They just released Jalen Smith, so I'm trying to break that down in my head. I'm super analytical. But yeah, for now on, it's not the Kyle Gibson trade. It's the Spencer Howard and the Hans Crouse trade. The way we're going to value this trade is who does better for their teams. Both Spencer Howard's going to try to prove the Rangers right. Hans Crouse is trying to prove the Phillies right. So I hope that the Rangers got this one right. I mean, Spencer Howard does have pedigree because he was a top prospect. Hans Crouse has never been a top 100 prospect. He's never been a top Rangers prospect. I think he's gotten as high as number 3. But then Spencer Howard, he was, I think last year he was the 28th overall prospect in the MLB, number 1 Phillies prospect, one of the top Phillies prospect, one of the top pitching prospects in all baseball. So I think he does have the pedigree. If scouts put him that high, they obviously think he can stay as a starter. I think the reason why we did trade Hans Crouse is because his injury, he might fall to the bullpen, stuff like that. But let me know what you guys think. I don't think there's not a lot of Rangers fans that are just like 100% on this trade. Maybe there are, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Who do you think will win this trade? Do you think any team will actually win this trade? Because that happens sometimes where nobody wins the trade. But that just about wraps up the video. If you stayed to the very end, please give a like down below. Subscribe to the channel because I'm your number 1 source for all things Rangers on YouTube. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.